Hey Gwenters, and welcome back for another episode of Gone Gwenting. So one of you guys recently requested a video on monsters. I have not done an endgame monsters deck. To be candid with you, I don't have many of the best monsters cards. I have Yghern, I have Geralt, I have some of the other Wild Hunt characters that were required for the Wild Hunt contract for making cards, but I don't have like Cave Troll as a defender, or the story card that they have, the scenario card. So I'm going to show you what I've cobbled together. This is not a killer deck. This is not going to win you a bunch of pro ranked matches, as I've found out. It has quite a few discernible weaknesses, but honestly, any monsters deck you build is going to have those weaknesses. Now, I borrowed from a couple of meme decks, so some of you may feel like, oh, this is just a meme deck, but I do think it does have some strong playability. If you were to play this probably from rank 10 on up, you would probably have some real effectiveness, and you'd probably get some big wins. At pro rank level, though, I just honestly don't feel like there's anything other than maybe a vampires deck that's really consistent enough to get you enough wins to put you at a positive pro rank score, right? Otherwise, you're just gonna get you're just gonna get the highest you got for the season, which is just gonna be what you started out with. You're just gonna lose more massive matches than you win. But this deck has some fun elements in it that I think you'll like. So let me show you just a little bit of the idea behind this deck. Some of you may have seen this rat swarm deck. The general idea is just to swarm the opponent's side of the board with rats. I thought, you know, that's not a terrible idea. Noonwraith plays for 6 points straight up, and then if you spawn the rats and pair that with Glusty, you're gonna get 6, and then you're gonna actually get 4 points because each of the 1 rats is worth 2 points each when Glusty Warp consumes them. So Noonwraith actually plays, as so long as you play a Glusty Warp afterwards, Noonwraith is a pretty high point play that you can make. So even though that is a meme deck, I'm not going all in on that. You see, I don't have Sacrifice, which is gonna make I'll trigger all the Death Wish abilities. I do have some Death Wish trigger cards, Marylorn here, but these pair with Night Wraith as well. So I think there's some good usefulness you can get out of that. I may have gone a little bit strong on Marylorns here. I probably could do with 1 fewer, but I like being able to draw them. Abaya has the same synergy as well. And candidly, even if you play 1 Noonwraith, you can play 2 Marylorns onto it as well as the Abaya, and that's gonna spawn the 6 rats, plus if you consume the Noonwraith, that's going to give you another 2 rats. So really good point value out of that 1 Noonwraith with those other card combos. And again, every time you play that Marylorn, so long as you get the Glusty Warp, you are going to get high play value out of it. So there's a few other cards we have here. I'm just going to call this the mess with your opponent's head deck. Okay, so you're going to see those as we get further to the top. Just notice I have several consume cards here that are going to give me big point boosts. They also are going to pair with some of the other cards we have at the top. So Count Caldwell, I think, is an underappreciated card, right? He plays for 10 points. The downside to Caldwell is every allied turn on turn end, move to the row with the highest unit on the battlefield, excluding self. So he's going to move to that row, so you're weak to row damage effects, and other stuff. But look, if you play him as final play of the game, even if you don't have final card, he's gonna play to your side of the board, and then he'll move at the end of your turn. So just use this leader ability, Overwhelming Hunger, to consume him. He's worth 10 points and he only costs 7 provision cost. Sure, the Ekimara will be boosted, so if you're playing on blue coin, you're susceptible to, you know, Igni or Yghern or Reset or fire damage, but you're gonna have so many boosted units in monster decks generally, it's just hard to get around those cards. Monster decks are just so, I think that's probably one of the biggest downsides, is they're just so susceptible to target attacks like poisons because they rely on those consume abilities to really move all of the cards together, and also to those shred attacks too, right? Like, I mean, look at Ketalus. Like, Ketalus is one of the best cards in the game at a 13 provision cost, plays for 9 straight up, and then every allied turn on turn end, destroy the lowest unit on the side with the most units. And obviously you want that to be your opponent. You don't want to just destroy your own unit unless you're just feeding it rats. But then you'd be playing it for negative points on the 13. So if it was consuming your own rat, it becomes worth 8 points after the first time you play it, and it's 13 provision cost. So you're going to be playing down fewer cards than your opponent, which means your points are going to be more concentrated, and they're going to make for better targets for your opponent. And there's just not a lot you can do about that. So Detlef would play really well in this deck too, if you have Detlef, but I'm using Ruhin instead. So basically the idea behind Ruhin is on allied turn end, summon this unit from your graveyard to a random allied row. So every time you consume Ruhin at the end of the turn, at the end of your turn, he's just gonna pop back up. And we're gonna grab Ruhin using a Huraquax. And a Huraquax, and I'd say also a little bit Madahuri, but Golyat as well, are going to be mess with your opponent's head cards. So these are both going to summon. Golyat is going to summon the unit with the highest value from your opponent's deck, and then the Huraquax is going to summon the unit with the highest provision cost. So you can play those in whichever order you want if you get both of them in order to draw those out of your opponent's deck. But basically we're just gonna suck out their best cards. We don't have a way of killing them in this deck. Monsters don't have the best kill cards. You could use some neutrals like Scorch or Igni if you wanted to swap stuff out. But I found that what I've had built here works pretty well. I get really high point value in the first round, and then I also get decent point value in final round from Ozzrel, who's going to get that consume. And then we can use Caranthir actually. If we get Ruhin in our hand, we can use Caranthir to spawn a Ruhin copy and then get 2 Ruins going, so we can just keep consuming them, and those work really well with Slizzard. So there's a lot of flexibility that we have, a lot of big card point plays, and this is just a really fun deck that you can play. So for those of you who's wanted to see a monster deck, let's just get into this. I want to show you how it works. It's a little complex, but I'm going to show you at pro rank level, just so I think this gives a better sense of its weaknesses, as well as how competitive it could be in a lot of senses, right? So as always, I'm filming this live. I always just like to show it to you guys raw and real. So we're going to find out, exactly how this deck plays. All right, we're going up against the Skellige deck. They have Second Wind, which indicates to me they're probably playing Great Swords. So let's just see where we can go with this. Oh, and then I have a Peller. You're probably like, why do you have the Peller? A Peller, actually, I want the Purify, weirdly enough, for the Foglet. He's going to cleanse off that Doom. That way I can use my leader ability to consume it over and over again, and it'll keep coming back with 5 points. So that's the whole reason he's there. So we do have both of our Noon Wraiths. We have a Marilorn, and we have a double Consume, and we have Caranthir, as well as Caldwell and Golyat. So the only one I don't really love here is Night Wraith. Let's get rid of her. And then actually this Ruin is pretty freaking awesome to have. Although I just think, this is a round I don't really want to go super deep on. But I don't mind consuming these Noon Wraiths. Again, I'm not trying to go for the Rat Swarm. I'm not trying to cover his whole side in rats to prevent him from making new plays. Basically, the general idea behind that deck, if you haven't seen it, is to get 9 cards on each of his rows so that he can't play cards and they're just going to disappear from his hand. It's very similar if you've ever had to play, I just played against this, but against a Nilfgaard deck that uses like Tibor, Egebrocht, a Huraquax as well, and then like the Viper Witchers to do banishes, and basically just like get rid of your whole deck so that you don't have enough cards in final round. It's basically that same idea, just a little bit reversed. All right, let's actually just get one of these Noon Wraiths out. I want to see if he tries to lock it or anything. But again, Noon Wraiths play for high point value, right? Like I've matched his card play, and he had to play a 5 provision cost card. And he has summoned the other copy out of his deck. So, no, I'm pretty happy with where we are. All right, so I no longer think he's playing Great Swords. After he played the Crows, I should have said this. I'm anticipating he's probably going to go for what they're calling the Triple Tree, or basically the idea here is to get Yghern 3 times from your deck. Because he played Avallac'h Sage though, he's not going to be able to get it 3 times, because one of the ways you're going to be able to play it basically with Avallac'h, and you're going to be able to play it with Madahuri, right? Because she can pull that out of your deck. So he's no longer going to be able to do that. We basically just have to make the decision now, how hard do we want to go at this round? And I think we have some fun stuff that we can really mess with his brain on. I'd like to keep Caranthir and Ruhin around, but I think we can go for Noonwraith. So let's get these Maralorns going. I'm a little concerned about Golden Froth. If he boosts up these rats, who are beasts, he does get these beast bonuses. He is going to be able to boost them up pretty easily. And they are going to get him some good bonuses, right? So, all right. So now we just have to keep an eye on this. So he's going to play 3 crows from that Crow's Eye Rhizome. Then next round he's going to be able to play this Maradrome, damage one of his own units by 3, and then boost it by 9. So it plays basically for 6 points unless you hit one of your own units with armor, or you want to kill one of your opponent's units. In my opinion, it's a little less useful than that than others. Alright, we don't have a ton of consumes here. I really just have to kind of decide, like, how hard do I want to push this, and honestly I'm feeling not very hard. I have enough consumes in the rest of my deck that I'm not really worried. I do want him to go down to at least 6 cards. If I could push him even a little further down, I'd be happier. But the other thing I'm going to do here, and you guys might think I'm crazy, but I have a couple of things I want to accomplish. One, I want to be able to get a good enough 10-point card into my deck that will be used with Ozzrel. If I get Ozzrel final round, I want Ozzrel to play for at least 11 points. But the other thing that I really want to do with Golyat here, and he has not tried to stop my Barghest, is interesting though. The one thing I do want to do with Ozzrel is, or Golyat, is summon one of his best unit to the other side of the board. And the other thing, interestingly enough, that I'm going to be able to do with this is, and I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but he is now officially totally filled up his side of the board. So I can basically show you how Rat Swarm works in theory. So he's going to boost up these Cloak-Crowned Druids every time he plays something. But I just want him to get rid of some stuff from his hand. Like, I'm not deeply wedded to anything that I have, right? So we're just going to play out this Noonwraith. So now, because unless he has special cards, anytime he wants to play a unit, it's just going to delete cards from his hand. So I mean, the one danger thing that I had here was I'm no longer able to just pass and be up a card. So now he and I are both tied in cards. But I like what I have. I don't think I have a great play here, right? Caldwell's going to play for 10 points, and I think he's probably my highest. We could theoretically spawn a Ruhin and then consume it. That's still going to play for only about 10 points. Ruhin's better in a long round. So I think right here we're just going to pass. He's going to take the win. And now I just kind of have to pray that he either doesn't push hard in the next round or he plays a low enough card up front that I can beat it on red coin. So otherwise I'll be down a card going into the final round. So that's just something I want to be aware of. All right, so Ancient Foglet and Pella are one of my other plays that I was telling you guys about, and I will show you how that works. We got a Heracrax. I would, if he does go hard in this round, I would actually like to be able to play a Heracrax. The one thing I need to be aware of, though, is it's going to pull my highest value card, which right now is a Yghern, which I am fine with. So Heracrax might actually be my first play that I make. So normally it would be Ruhin, because Ruhin is my 11 provision cost card. My preference would be to get Caranthir and Ruhin together, but the Heracrax is another good option in order to pull Ruhin out. And again, Ruhin plays really well in a long round. If you have two Slizzards, you put one on the front row, one on the back row, they're just going to be able to, they have a cooldown 1 of Consume, and every round Ruhin is going to come back onto one of those 2 rows. If you have 2 of them, there is a chance that you're gonna get that you can get them both on 1 row, but you're gonna be able to consume at least 1 of them every turn. So that's gonna work out really well for you. All right, so interestingly enough, I don't know how he did this, but he got Madahuri boosted. I genuinely have no idea how he was able to do that. If you guys know how he was able to boost Madahuri, please let me know. But I don't see anything that like boosts a card in hand. I feel like he used magic for that. Genuinely have no idea. Alright, so we're going to play a Hero Quacks. I'm just going to show you guys how this works. He either is going to try to go hard this round, or he's just trying to pull something up for next round. So I think right here we'll just pull out our highest provision cost. He pulled his highest provision cost out. Whoa, something crazy is going on with the game. Oh, I know what it is. Sorry, I should have paid more attention to that. Deploy. Yghern has to deploy in order to get the armor. So we kind of just lost Yghern there for absolutely no reason. That's why it's important to read your cards, friends. But, you know, we're still going to be able to play Ozzrel for that 13 points. It just would have been better if we had Ozzrel in our hand. So instead, actually here, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go for the Caranthir Ruhin play. And then we just want to make sure you're always consuming Ruhin in order to get the maximum number of points. So we're just going to use our leader ability to do that. And hopefully catch up. Yeah, okay. So, like I was saying before, one of the other ways he's going to do that, he's going to swap his graveyard with his deck, with Lippy. If you guys have seen my Lippy Flip video, then you'll know a little bit about how that works, but you can use that to get Gdeneth as well. Notably, some cards are just gone because they have doomed on them. So you notice you had 19 cards before. That's not doomed. I'm not 100% sure what he has going on here. How that Madahuri got boosted eludes me still. She should be worth 6 points, but working magic. One day we're gonna figure out how it works. Okay, so I think here we want to get a Slizzard out. And we just want to keep this Ruhin working. Alright, so each time we spawn one of these Ekimaras, they're worth 2 points, and they're going to boost themselves by the value of the unit they consumed. So that one is worth 6, and it's going to pop back out. So that for us, every time we play one of those, is a 10-point play. Alright, yeah, here we go. He's got Gdeneth out again.
Reach beyond what the eyes see and the ears hear.
We just want to keep these Ruhins coming. Excuse me. So our Glusty Warp can consume our Ancient Foglet and our Night Wraith. I like to keep the Ancient Foglet in here so I can purify it with Pellar. You'll see a little bit about what I mean by that and how that can work. So we just need to be able to play Ancient Foglet to our melee row just so Slizzard can consume it. I would have liked to have had a few more consumes this round. But I feel like I'm in a decent position to have highest card for final play on Caldwell. If not, I can play him to melee row and have Slizzard consume him. I'm just going to be in a lot of trouble if he figures out a way to kill that Slizzard. But he looks a little focused on his game to get far enough ahead. If I was him, I think that was a poor play. Crow Mother, maybe he doesn't have any more alchemy cards. She's going to come back every time you play an alchemy card, so I would have just let it go. Notably here, though, when he plays his second wind, he's only going to be able to pull this Savage Bear out, and it'll only have one charge and give bleeding for 2 rounds, so I'm not super concerned about that one. All right, I think here we're gonna keep these Ruhins coming down. Not terribly concerned about her. I get more points from the Ruhins in ongoing fashion. I guess so. Had I consumed her, he would have got 3 points. She would have spawned 2 more, which would have been 4 points for Glusty, but then -2, so it's really only 2 more points for consuming her, right, on net. Whereas every time I consume Ruhin, that's 4 points. So that was my calculation there. Always do the maths. I get lazy, and I hate doing the math, but always do the math. Just trust me on that. It's always worth doing the math. So I'm getting a little annoyed that I don't have another consume. But we are where we are. Just need to make sure he doesn't have anything higher than my card. I think we're okay. Go Glusty Warp. So Ancient Foglet's gonna get consumed. He's gonna pop back down, and the next round we're gonna play Peller onto it, because you can see right now it has Doomed. So when it dies, it's gonna just disappear, get banished basically. Whereas if we can purify it first, it'll actually come back to that same row again, get boosted by 5, and that'll work out pretty well for us. All right, so right now we are down by 5 points. So I don't need to play Caldwell. So I'm actually going to keep him in hopes that I get Ozzrel next turn. I also have Matahari to get Ozzrel and Royal Decree. So if I can't get him, there's no justice. So I'm just going to show you guys how this one works. It's a pretty easy play. We're just going to purify Foglet, consume, and then he's going to come back out again. See? So we get 5 points from that. So Peller plays for 4, plus the 5-point consume, plus the 5-point respawn. So he actually plays for 14 points, which is pretty awesome in that one play. So now we're down a card, and we don't have card advantage, right? So we are actually gonna play on blue coin here. So this is not my best tactical play. We should have just let it go that first round and been up a card, but here we are. So, all right, we're gonna keep Barghest. He gives us some flexibility with Caldwell. The Royal Decree is going to give us a Baya, most likely, I'm thinking, or a Barbagazi. So I'd like to get the Abaya pretty early, just so we can get the boost. So the one unit, the Barbagazi, I don't want to get the consume, to be honest with you. Not a whole lot of value in that. So the only one I might want to consume is Matahari, but there's no point in doing that. So we're just going to play out Barbagazi. Alright, so he does have Second Wind now available to him, so he's going to be able to do this again. So, and then basically the idea here, if you're wondering how to play this other deck, is he's going to be able to use Second Wind to play Lippy again. And so Lippy's going to flip all of these back over again. The one thing he wants to do that he should be really focused on is playing an Alchemy card to get that Crow Mother out. But he had to play this Crow Messenger to summon the units from his deck with an Alchemy card in hand. So we know he has an Alchemy card in hand. We know he's going to get Crow Mother out. There's just not a whole lot we can do about it. So here we are. The one good thing about Matahari for us is instead of if you're thinking about like odds, percentages, etc., then you know she's gonna make it so instead of having to play 3 to 4, so having only 75% of his cards, we're gonna be able to play 4 to 5, so we get 80% of his cards. So that is one good thing that she can get you in around with very few cards where the big play matters. So I think here my play is basically just to get a Baya just so I can get the Thrive, right? So Barbagazi would play for 6 points, but I can get a Baya to play for 6 points as well. But I would just, I guess she's gonna be boosted. So 1, 2. Okay. I mean, the flexibility of the consume is a little bit better, I guess, just in case you poison something. And if he plays a Geralt, Yghern, then he's only going to be able, then he won't be reduced down by 2, so. Yeah, here he goes. I mean, if he's doing this right, he's going to go Lippy, and then he's got something in his hand that's going to feed him that Gedeneth card again. So, that's going to pull out Roach. So, you know, this is it's a pretty fun deck. People are having a good time. So Alzor's Double Cross, that's what it is. Matahori just has to be the highest point value card in your hand if you want to do it.
Music marries cultures, connects folk to one another.
I mean, basically here, my idea is just get the extra points from the rats, right? Unless you guys have a better idea. Just waiting to play Caldwell and Ozzrel till he makes a couple more plays. I'd like to see what he's developing from his final hand, but I'm just guessing it's going to be Gedeneth. Which is just going to play for a lot more points than I have. But I will say this, like, had we had an equal number of cards, we actually might be able to contest this. I just had a misplay in that first round. So like I said, these games are real. These are raw. I have not played this monster deck a whole lot. I played it twice just to kind of get a feel for it. But that's it. So, you know, no magic here. Not the most amazing player you've ever seen, but I really want to just kind of interact with you guys, test out stuff that you're throwing at me, because I just enjoy playing the game. It's just a good time. And I think that the more you play it with these fun decks, the more exciting the game can be. If you're just locked in to try to get the top 200 on pro rank, you're probably not watching these videos anyway. So this is like the working man video, you know? All right, so I think here we're just gonna play Caldwell. I doubt he's gonna be able to get something that's gonna pull Caldwell to his side, but I just wanna make sure that's not the case. I'm gonna use the Ekimara to consume Caldwell, and then I'm just gonna go eat 2 of these rats. Just so we don't feed him like a Stammelford's Tremors. So again, had we had equal number of cards, he probably still would have been able to contest it. Just with that Axel 3 Eyes, it's going to give him a huge boost here. He's going to boost himself by 9 points. Yep, then he gets the Maradrum. So yeah, anyway, it's a fun deck to watch, and it's a totally fun Skellige deck to play right now. A lot of people are having a lot of good times with it. Like I said, honestly, it's hard to get really good traction with monsters, but here in this deck, there's honestly not that many legendaries that you really need to make this deck. It's fairly accessible, and as you just saw, this is going to help you get that Piercing the Fog achievement. Enjoy that Pellar Foglet combo with the Consume too. You know, that's super accessible. That's only I don't know, Foglet's not even rare, right? So yeah, let's see. I mean, Pellar, you should make Pellar anyway. I mean, he is a rare, so he's going to cost you 80 scraps to make. So if you're brand new, that might feel really expensive, but he's so worth it. I mean, he plays for 4 points, but the Purify can totally change a game. And notice, I've said this before in my other videos, but it's just Purify a unit. So you can actually wipe Defender or Resilience or Shield off an enemy unit as well, which can be a big deal for you. And he's neutral, so you can play him in any deck that you want. So anyway, Pellar's big there, and then the other one, Ancient Foglet, yeah, he's rare too, so he's going to cost you 80 to craft him. But super fun play to make. Like I showed you, it's pretty straightforward. You just got to purify the Doom off him after he's died, and then you'll be able to consume him again, and he'll come back again worth 5 points. So you're going to eat the 5, and then he's going to come back as 5. So just a lot of fun stuff that you can do with him there. The problem with him, though, just before I get off, note that you cannot play a Baya or Mayorlorn on him and trigger his Death Wish, because he has to summon this unit from the graveyard to the same route. And since it's himself, he cannot come back from the graveyard as when he's not there, right? So you need to have an Ancient Foglet that is the same Ancient Foglet you're going to pull back. in the graveyard. So you can't pull them back from a prior round because it has to be that same one. Anyway, everything else in here, Ozzrel you start with. I think Yghern, as I told you guys before, if you don't have Royal Decree, get Royal Decree. You could do something else with flexibility here. Yghern, Yghern, and Matahori are going to be your most important ones. Hero Quacks you don't really need. You could do something else instead of Hero Quacks. I just love messing with them. Glusty Warp, if you have Thronebreaker, you get it for free. If you don't, it's only 200 scraps. Matahori you should have. You know, she's one of the best just accessible neutral cards in the game. And Ozzrel you get automatically. Golyat's just 200. And then Caranthir, I mean, if you really want that Ruin play, do him. But you can make other things work as well. Alternatively, I should say too, so Abaya you get for free in the game. Caldwell you get from Thronebreaker. You'll notice actually how I can't even like craft this Caldwell card because it is from Thronebreaker. Which again, as I've said before in other videos, totally worthwhile game to play, especially during this COVID time. It has a bunch of playable. It took me like 35 hours to fully 100% the game, which was, and it was a total riot. But everything else in here, I mean, you guys can see, very accessible. One thing you can do if you want to change out same provision cost for Caranthir is Operator, and you can use him to summon a base copy of a bronze unit. So you actually could summon another copy of Ancient Foglet if you wanted to do that Peller Foglet play, add another Peller in here, maybe for a Merlorn, or a Noon Wraith that you can spawn on both sides, and then you can kill their Noon Wraith with a different card and then get rats on your own side and then consume those with Glusty Warp. So a lot of flexibility that you can have with that. You can also spawn a Night Wraith on your side and their side and then eat those rats. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you have thoughts on specific decks, if you have certain cards you want to see, please let me know. But in the meantime, please like, comment, subscribe. Really helps me out. Helps push these videos up, get more traction, and get more feedback so I can make better videos for y'all. But until then, get out there and go Gwenting.